Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamu alaikum. Today we are here with another topic. It is another short story. The short story is Dead Man's Path and it is written by Chinua Achebe. The story deals with the clash of the culture and the clash of the civilization. The story was published in 1953. Now we do a short summary of this short story. Michael Obe is a broad-minded, progressive individual who is educated, and he is selected by the colonial masters who are colonizing this Nigerian country, and they send him as a headmaster to a school that is located in Nedumi town. He joins the school as a principal along with his wife as well. When they see the school, when they see the standard of teaching, when they see the location and everything that is in the school, they get extremely disappointed. And then they decide, because they have come with a mission, they decide to change first the way of teaching of the teachers. They want to standardize it. They want to elevate the quality of teaching. And at the same time, his wife Nancy is trying to make this school, the location of the school, the outlook of the school very beautiful. So she starts changing in the outlook of the school, and Michael Obe is trying to make change in the quality of teaching. He thinks that the old school, the old way of teaching, the old traditions and old culture, the way they have been implemented in the school are useless. He considers them narrow, he considers them outdated, and he considers them something not good for the society. So he starts bringing changes. Now one day he's sitting out in the garden. When he's sitting in the garden, he sees that a woman is passing by through a path in the school. He asks the teachers, why don't they stop her and why is she passing? So the teachers reply them that the woman is basically going to the place, and this path is connected to the shrine as well as the burial place and the birthplace of the society. Means there is a shrine and there is a funeral place or a burial place of the community, and that place, those two places are connected by a small path or a narrow path that goes through the school. Now Michael Obe is surprised and he sees, what is this going on? This is a school. But the teachers reply that, look, we don't interfere in the cultural and tradition ways of the people, and people don't interfere in the ways of the school. So we both are happy. But he says, no, he has come here to change all that is old. He's come here to make this place and the school a progressive school, a progressive way of thinking. He wants to eliminate those like old perceptions and old thoughts, because he wants to make them move ahead. He wants to make them have progress in their life. So he tells the teacher that they need to stop it. They need to stop this path, and people of the town or people of the village, they should not use this path. The teachers reply them that they have already attempted this closure of a path once, but the villagers or the people who were living there, they made a havoc of it, and an uproar was raised. So they stopped this then, and it was allowed for the people to use it. But Michael Obe is very determined, and he said no, at any cost it is to be stopped, because he is here to change the view, and there is no connection, and so means there is no meaning or significance of the connection path. They can use an alternative way. They must not use this way. Anyhow, the teacher stops it. After 2 or 3 days, the priest visits him. When the priest visits him, the priest tells him that this path is very important for the traditional and cultural aspect, and Michael Obe must not play with these traditions and cultures. He should let the tradition and culture for the people so that they can follow them or they can implement in their life. And Michael Obe is concerned with the school. He should go on with the school and the daily business of the school. But Michael Obe refuses to accept his proposal and tells him that whatever the case is, he should not be worried about it, and Michael Obey is going to close the path forever. In the meanwhile, he gets the news that after some days, uh, the inspection from the colonial masters is coming to see the school and to report it to the masters, how this school is working and how Michael Obey is making this school progressive, because he was considered an ideal candidate because of his mentality, because of his thoughts, and he's considered that he will come to the school and he will make a lot of changes in the school. Anyhow, when the priest goes back, after 2 days exactly, a woman dies while giving birth to a child. Now, this is considered a sign or an omen by the people of the village, and they consider it a negative sign, because they think or they prophesize that the gods or the elders of the place are unhappy with the act of Michael Obey. So what happens? They come in a flock. They destroy one of the garden, and in the meanwhile they destroy one side of the building of the school as well, because this creates a problem for them, because they want that nobody should interfere in their cultural ways, in their cultural and traditional ways. So what happens is that he is left with no choice but with a destroyed school. After a few days, the inspector visits. He makes an inspection of the school, and he writes a nasty report that Michael Obey is not doing the business of the school in a correct way, and he has given ear to a tribal war between the different tribes or between the community and the school. And now people are very much against the colonial masters. So this is the basic summary of this short story. Now, coming to the analysis part of this short story, the first major thing that we discuss is why there is a cultural clash. The cultural clash is because Nigeria was colonized by Britain. Now, those colonial masters consider themselves right. They consider themselves civilized. They consider themselves right. They consider themselves enlightened. And they want to bring enlightenment to the Nigerian part. But the problem is, they don't understand how their tradition and how their culture work. They, without taking into knowledge the ways of the tradition and the culture, they impose Michael Obey on the school, through which they want that Michael Obey will bring a change in the perceptions or in the thoughts of the people. This is usually called a soft power, like through education, because education was considered the main tool for the colonizer. Through education, they started converting different people of the colonized territory to Christianity, or like they wanted to gain their attraction or soft corner through education, because through education they would propagate their own ideas, they would propagate their own thoughts, and they would propagate whatever was in their mind. So the first thing, the cultural clash, is because they want to use the soft power without taking into consideration what is the actual reality. And Michael Obey is the mouthpiece of colonial master, because he wants to please the colonial master rather than thinking of the people. What is important to the people? What is the significance of the path, and what is the significance of the culture? He could have done it in a soft way, like he could have slowly and mentally, or slowly and gradually, he could have changed the perception, but he wanted overnight changes. And this is the biggest dilemma in the books of the history, that, or the biggest problem that was committed by the colonial master. They wanted overnight changes. They were never interested in the gradual transmission from one cultural view to the other cultural view, or they were not interested in a slow process where the colonized people would leave their own cultural and traditional ways and adopt the new way, but they wanted in an abrupt way, and this created problem in almost every region where they were there, where they ruled. So this is the first major thing, the cultural clash in the story, and this is because of using the soft power in a wrong way. in enforcing way, because it was enforced on the people. The second thing is that modernity is not a process that can be that can come into the process with just an order or with just a change. People where the colonized masters, they deal with the people of the colonizers. When they deal with the colonized people, they have to take into the mind how their tradition, means how the territorial traditions or how the cultural ways go on, and how they see the colonizers, how they see the masters, and then they could go on for the amalgamation and come to a point where they could think of it. But they wanted the modernity to be brought in one day. They wanted the modernity to be brought because they thought it was white man's burden, and they wanted to civilize them. So this was the problem for them. Then another thing that is very important is the hollowness of the mentality of the colonizers. The colonizers do not consider the implications of changing the traditional ways. They do not consider how they need to bring a change, because the relation between Michael Obey and the villager shows the relation between the colonizer and the colonized. Now the colonizer is unable to understand, or in fact he is not interested in learning about the traditions and cultures of the colonized people. Rather, he wants to implement what he wants, what he thinks is right, which is against the reality, which is against the fact, and which cannot be done. And this happened to the British or all the colonizers in different parts of the time, or in different parts of the history, where they colonized without taking into consideration. An uproar was coming against them, the rebellion started against them. This is the same that happened in the Pakistan and India, the subcontinent, because they wanted to impose so many things. People went against them. Similarly, this story shows that how Nigerian people renounced the ways of the colonizers, because the soft power was used through hollowness, was used without understanding the reality, was used without making a gradual progress, because they themselves were narrow minded. They themselves thought that only they were right and no one else was right, and no one else is right even today for them. So this hollowness internally shows the problem, and this shows how the problems came for them while ruling the different territories. I hope I have discussed every angle of this short story. If there is anything left, you can ask me in the comment box. Thank you very much.